Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Community Services Conference. You guys are going to be here for what? 2-3 days across. It's a great town to be in. Fun, lots of fun here, and I know that you're going to have a great time after you do a lot of good, hard work in the next couple of days. And the work that you're doing, of course, is so important. And I'm really happy to be here with all of you today. I want to just do a shout out to Ann McNeary, who's now outside of the room. But I want to thank Ann McNeary for all of her hard work that she does to put this conference together. There she is. Let's give a hand to Ann McNeary. And really, without the work that she does and the work of the committee, we would not be able to have this kind of conference and come together and get to know each other like we are. So thank you for that, and also thank you to the other labor liaisons, the United Way liaisons from across the state. We have Mike Bellistreri, Jay Reinke. Is Jay Reinke in the house? There he is. Yay, Jay. Kurt Schmidt is in the house, I know. And there he is out there, Kurt Schmidt. Hugh Sloan, thank you, Hugh. Annie Wacker, Dan Waddle. Dan in the house? All right, well, thank you so much to the entire committee for all of your hard work to put this conference together, not only for this conference, but for the work that you do each day throughout the year. Thank you. So I'm really happy to be able to be here with you all today for a brief moment. I have to jump on a plane after this, and I get to go to the La Crosse airport for the first time. Somebody from La Crosse is going to have to give me directions, but apparently it's very close. Very close. So here we are, and remembering where we have been, it's kind of an important time for all of us. This March 10th? It was March 9th yesterday. A year ago, the governor signed right to work, their attack on labor. And 5 years ago was when he came out with this action and this full frontal assault against our unions and our middle class and public sector workers. And what we have to say for all that is, you know what? He might have tried to take us down, but you know what? He didn't succeed. Because we know that we're stronger now than ever before. Because we have come together in solidarity, we have come together in unity from across the different sectors. We know that we have a fight ahead of us, and we know how important it is that we continue the good work that we do each and every day. Because the work that we do really is about saving our communities, saving our future, and making sure that work has dignity, making sure that work pays a fair wage, good working conditions. And we know that we are the makers of the middle class. We are the makers of the middle class, and that's just about it. And without a strong union movement, without strong leaders in the union movement, we don't have even half a chance to have a decent middle class. And so we know that whatever Scott Walker wants to bring at us, we're ready, right? We're ready for him. And we know that we've suffered some hard knocks. Let's not be unreasonable about this. We know that we've gotten kicked in the head quite a few times, but we keep fighting. And we keep fighting because we know we have to. Because if we don't do it, there's nobody else that's going to do it for us. Okay? We're not going to be able to hire somebody else. We have to take on that responsibility ourselves, for our co-workers, for our neighbors, for our community, for our kids, for our future. And, we're going to keep on working, and we're going to keep building our union movement. And I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there was a new poll that was out not too long ago. And, I don't like these polls, but this one I like because it showed that more people have a favorable view of unions than they have in the last 2 decades. And I know that you all have yourselves to thank for that, because attacked in such a hard way in 2010, where we said we're not going to take it, we're going to stand up, because no governor, no politician has the right to take our union away. And we said no, and you stood up, and we stood up, and that's what Americans want. That's what working people want. They want an organization that's going to fight for them. And so that's why what you do every day is so very important. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in the legislature, and then I want to talk about TPP as well. And if you let me, I'll talk for 2 or 3 hours. But I'm going to keep it short because my brothers and sisters at the table over here said that I'm good at, where's the fellow that was talking about the short speeches? Right in the back. He was joking with me that I'm famous for short speeches. I said, absolutely. So I wanted to tell you about, or talk to you about the state legislature, what's going on there. They're always up to no good, as you know, but they're almost done, which is a good thing. So March 15th is their last day, and that's the state senate. Well, that's what they say. Now, they could turn around and go back into session at any time. We know that. But March 15th is the last day that the state senate is going to be in, and we hope that they just stay out from then on. We know that over the last couple of weeks, the state assembly, when they were in session in February, they passed almost 500 separate pieces of legislation in the matter of weeks. This was a record in terms of the amount of pieces of legislation that were put through. So basically, it was like, okay, the session is about to end. So it was an all-you-can-eat buffet for special interest groups, for lobbyists, for anybody who wanted any idea that they'd had in the back of their head. For the longest time, they just shoved them all through because they knew that they had the opportunity to do it now. And guess what? They are scared because they know that we're going to make significant gains in November of this year in the state senate and in the state assembly. Yes. Right?
Right.
So as they were continuing their march down to attacks on working people, a couple of good things did happen. And I could spend a lot of time talking about the bad things that happened there, but we can also take the moment to talk about a couple of bright spots. And one is something that we have talked about for many, many years, and that's the agreed upon worker compensation bill. As you know, that we have an advisory council process here in Wisconsin, and we've had this for over 100 years. We have a team of half management, half labor. We come together and we hammer out an agreed upon bill dealing with worker compensation. There was a severe attack on worker compensation this year with a bill that was called the Worker Compensation Destruction Bill, which sought to destroy what we had built in this state in terms of a fair system for injured workers. So we came together, and I sit on that council, the advisory council, together with Brad Schwanda from the UAW, Scott Redmond from the plumbers, Monica from steelworkers and machinists, and Ron Kent from AFSCIO. And so we vet these proposals and we come up with a agreed upon bill, which we did this year. And so even though we had this attack on us from trying to dismantle the advisory council, we were able to get this through. And so about, I think about 2 weeks ago, this was finally signed into law, and it was a lot of hard work, but we did it. And I'm not going to go on too long about this because I know that Steve Klunder from the Previent Law Firm is going to be here, I believe, tomorrow, right, Ann? And he is going to go through, he is one of our advisors, one of our legal advisors, and it's so great to have him there because he's with us each and every step of the way, advising us around these worker compensation issues. And he's going to take you in a deep dive through that process, so I'll let him do that. But I do want to let you know that we were able to get this passed, and this was a major accomplishment for all of us. So it's not quite over yet, but do you recall this issue that the legislature tried to push through on us, which was this fast path to water privatization bill? You You guys remember this? This was really unbelievable. You know, I get these emails, and I get just about every piece of legislation that goes through. So these are like, you know, sometimes they could be 10 a day, 20 a day, 50 a day, and we kind of go through them, and then we go through them again. But it caught my eye that they wanted to put this bill through which would allow municipalities to privatize their water in a much easier way. And we said, wait a minute, what is this all about? What's going on here, right? And so we looked into it a little bit further, and this bill would have allowed municipalities, cities, towns, counties, or whoever has water, to privatize their water, to basically sell their water facilities to private bidders, to private corporations for the highest bidder, without having a real democratic process. So right now, they have to go, if they want to do that, they have to go to a process of a referendum. And that means that everybody needs to vote on it. And that means people have to understand that this is up, understand that this is an issue. So at the behest of this corporation called Aqua America, okay, and Aqua America is a large private water company that has hundreds of complaints on water quality in other states. They already have all these complaints. They tried to put this bill through in a very quick way, without a democratic process. Surprise, surprise. Have we heard this before in Wisconsin, right? So, as they were doing this, we got the word out. We got the word out through our email. Now, are you guys all on our email list, most of you? If not, you can get on. You can ask Ann to send me your email, or you can go onto our website and just click on that box on the side, and you'll get our emails. So we put this issue out, and we discussed it. We said, this is what's happening. And you all responded in a massive way. And we thought that we had kind of killed it off, right? And then it was maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I don't know, something like this. But it was a Monday, so there was going to be a session in the state Senate on a Tuesday. On Friday, they put the calendar out, right? And so we watch and we monitor what's in the calendar. The first version came out. Then the second version came out on Friday. Then on Monday, they put a third version out in the morning. And then a fourth version out in the afternoon. And we think, okay, it's over with. Do you know that at 5:30 at night, on Monday night, they put out a final version, well, we didn't know it was final, but another version of the Senate calendar, and on there, they stuck on the water privatization bill. Can you believe it? Well, of course you can believe it. Yeah. But they put that out at 5:30 on a Monday for a session that was happening the very next day. So we said, okay, we need to get the word out. And so we, me and the rest of our staff, and Karen Hickey, who does our communications, we said, okay, let's get an email out to everybody, making sure that they know this. We sent that email out at 9:30 at night on the Monday night. And 12 hours later, I am not kidding you, 12 hours later, you and other union members from the state of Wisconsin responded by sending 1,200 emails to your senators. 1,200 emails in 12 hours. That was the response of people from Wisconsin, union members throughout Wisconsin. It was incredible. So the next day, because why is this important? We know what's going on in Flint. We all know what's going on in Flint, Michigan, where an entire city has been poisoned. Their kids, their pets, their people have been poisoned. Why? Because they tried to take an easy way out, undemocratic way by putting that private, manager, emergency manager in, took away the democratic process, put an emergency manager into being in charge of Flint. And what did that emergency manager do? Oh, I've got a great idea to save a couple bucks. I'm going to stop taking our really good water that we're getting from Detroit, from Lake Huron, and we're going to switch it to the river that has corrosive water, which went through their pipes for what, 12 months, 18 months? Somebody help me out? Something like this, but what it did was it corroded those pipes. So, and you guys know this better than I do, but the pipes were lead, but they had built up that biofilm, and so the water that was going through, when it was the good water, was fine. It was good. It was safe drinking water. But when they put the corrosive water, the cheap water from the river that was not treated properly, because also they didn't want to spend the money, it ate away at that biofilm, which exposed the lead, which exposed the water to lead, which is poisonous to drink and bathe in, and it poisoned an entire city. This kind of behavior by our elected officials is criminal. It's criminal, it should be outlawed, and we need to make sure that we in the labor community and the labor movement are on it, and that we know what's going on. And I'm happy to say that we were on it. We sent that message loud and clear, and by the afternoon, we're back to this Tuesday, so they're getting all of these emails. And let me tell you, there's a lot of these senators that are in positions that they may not win their election again. And they're thinking to themselves, this is a really bad issue. I'm getting already heat on this. By the afternoon, Senator Scott Fitzgerald said, when the bill came up, he said, oh, never mind. I'm going to pull it back to committee and put it in committee. And so that's what he did. So he had the votes on Monday. You guys sent your emails and made your voices heard throughout the day. And by the very next day, his coalition had collapsed. He didn't have enough votes, and he pulled the bill. So this was a victory. And we know what we can do when we put our minds to it. So we need to make sure that we keep our eye on what's going to happen on the 15th, because I wouldn't put it past him. And would you? Would you put it past him? No. We can't let up. We have to make sure that they do not put that bill back on the docket for March 15th. So we're going to keep our eye on that, okay? And you guys can make sure that you're looking at your emails as we go along. So, welcome everyone to the Community Services Conference. And as you know, the connection between our union movement and community service has deep roots. And as union members, we stand together in our workplaces, and we stand together with our neighbors after work. And when a call goes out for help, we're there. Sleeves rolled up and ready to do what needs to be done. That's the kind of people we are. We know our communities can truly be strong, can truly be prosperous when it's everyone for himself. And that's one of the lessons that we have learned from our union movement. When each of us does our part on behalf of others, we all benefit. The impact of our combined efforts is greater than the sum of what we can accomplish as individuals. And you are living proof of this in your communities every day. So let's talk about this. Unions have played a big part in making this kind of community spirit possible. There was a time, long before we were here, but when working people had to put in impossibly long hours, 12, 16 hours a day, only to stumble home, eat a meager meal, and collapse for a few hours before they had to start the cycle again. That didn't leave much time for their families and none at all for their communities. And the labor movement, our labor movement, changed that. The labor movement, by standing together, finally achieved that famous balance that makes for healthy lives and a healthy society. You remember what it is. 8 hours for work, 8 hours for sleep, and 8 hours for what we will. And as each of you can demonstrate every day, often what we want to do is to be there on behalf of our neighbors. And this is the part of the union story that's not told enough. By organizing, we have the strength to demand a fair share of the benefits of our labor in the workplace and the ability to build stronger communities at home. That's why a threat to unions is a threat to everyone, and union members and non-union members alike are threaten our unions. The benefits organized labor brings to our nation go far beyond the lives of individual workers. A quality job not only brings the financial wherewithal to support a family, it also forges a link between workers and society. After all, it's pretty hard to think about volunteering your time when you're working 3 jobs. A good job with good wages goes a long way to support that shared enterprise we call America. Unfortunately, in a global economy, too many CEOs no longer see it this way. They see labor, they see us, as a commodity to be purchased at the cheapest possible rate. Anywhere in the world they can find men and women willing to work for less than their neighbors. We know better, of course. We know that who does the work matters. How many CEOs do you think fly around in private jets made by workers in Bangladesh? We understand that union made in the USA is about a lot more than just geography. It's a statement. It's a declaration that this item was made by workers standing shoulder to shoulder using our skills and commitment to produce quality goods that not only the products that are shipped off the loading dock, but a stronger America as well. That's what union made in the USA means. And there are too many CEOs, and you know this, there are too many CEOs who've chosen to forget that. They have chosen to be unpatriotic. They have chosen to forget about their communities. They have chosen to care only about their bottom lines. And that's why we need to come together and tell them that our work is to be taken as a valuable asset to making our country strong. Brothers and sisters, the global economy is a fact. You know that, we all know that. Goods and services move across national borders like never before. But with the right policies in place, with the right policies in place, we wouldn't want them to be. 95% of the world's consumers are outside of the U.S. We can and should be selling our goods and services in Manila as well as in Manitowoc. And like Russ Feingold says, we should be exporting Wisconsin products, not Wisconsin jobs. And by the way, isn't he great? Isn't Russ Feingold great? I mean, he really is speaking the truth to power, and we are going to do everything that we can every day between now and the election in November to make sure that Russ Feingold is our next senator. So now back to the trade issue. We know the world needs and wants the high quality things we produce. And when the game is not rigged, we can compete with any nation on earth. Trade is not the problem. What we have to fight against is global trade environment in which stateless corporations with loyalty to no capital or no country pit workers against each other. A system where citizens lose control of the laws designed to protect us. A scheme in which health and safety and the environment are disregarded in pursuit of ever higher profits. So we've seen these so-called free trade deals before, and we know the results. One of our nation's leading experts on trade, Wisconsin native Lori Wallach, recently offered her recollection of January 1st, 1994, and that was the day that NAFTA went into effect. We remember it was passed in 1992. She says, in quotes, I remember that day, thinking about the proud men and women in union halls across America. Mexican campesinos and the inspiring Canadian activists I have met during the fight against NAFTA, and hoping desperately that our dire predictions would be proved wrong. They were not. In short order, the damage started. What was the damage? A staggering U.S. trade deficit with NAFTA partners Mexico and Canada, a net loss of 1 million U.S. jobs. Unprecedented levels of income inequality. displacement of more than 1 million Mexican farmers, with a related impact on immigration, and hundreds of millions of dollars paid to corporations after investor state resolution tribunal attacks on domestic public interest policies. We'll talk about that more in a minute. So fast forward, that was 1992. Fast forward 22 years, and we find ourselves facing another bad trade agreement. The Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP, which would link the U.S. and 11 other Pacific Rim nations together to form a trading zone that encompasses 40% of the global economy. Make no mistake, the TPP makes NAFTA look like a handshake deal over a used snowmobile. So what's in that agreement? Do you know? Can you tell me? Well, you can be forgiven if you don't know exactly what's in that agreement. Because like other trade negotiations, guess what? It was negotiated in secret. That's right. Representatives of the 12 nations reached an agreement in October of last year. A 5,500-page draft was finally made public in November, and because Congress voted to give the President the so-called fast-track authority, members can only vote the agreement up or down, and they have no ability to modify or amend. So let's take a moment to look at some of the highlights, okay, or lowlights of the TPP agreement. So what's wrong? What's wrong with this trade agreement? First of all, it's about the labor standards. There are a lot of commitments. They talk about a lot of commitments in the TPP. A commitment to discourage trade of goods made with slave labor, but not prohibit. Simply discourage. There's a commitment for labor standards, but no criteria for what those standards should be. Previous trade agreements have shown that even this vague and ineffective language is rarely enforced. Next, tariffs. One of the main purposes of these agreements is to eliminate tariffs. And we hear a lot about how U.S. manufacturers will have greater access to foreign markets. But what about foreign companies coming here to our country? According to an analysis published by that famous left-wing union-friendly news organization, the Wall Street Journal, I'm joking, the U.S. market access concessions alone will increase the trade deficit in manufactured goods and auto parts by more than $55 billion, with many, many high-quality American jobs lost. Even U.S. government procurement must be opened up to foreign TPP bidders. Okay? So think about this. Potential customers of the U.S. include the U.S. Departments of Transportation, Defense, Veterans Affairs, Agriculture and Homeland Security. So imagine the Fed scrapping their Fords and Chevys for, some car, a Prius, or a car made in Malaysia, or your kids' school serving lunches made in Peru. So next up, let's think about this other issue in the trade agreement, and that's called the rules of origin. Okay? This agreement lowers the requirements for the rules of origin. And that's the law that says how much of a product has to come from a given country to be able to say that it was made here in the United States. So under NAFTA, it was 62.5%. So the rules of origin, if that product was made in the United States, if 62% of it was made in the United States, they could slap on that label that says made in the USA. Guess what they're going to do with TPP?
Right.
Yeah. They want to lower it. They want to lower it to 40, made with a majority of foreign labor could be still labeled made in the USA. Okay? And now for the real corporate takeover, the investor-state dispute settlement. Okay? That's the ISDS, the investor-state dispute settlement. And this is pretty simple. Under this rule, corporations have the right to sue national governments over laws they don't like. Okay? In other forums, like the WTO, companies that don't like a law in a place where they're doing business have to petition their own government to make government-to-government complaints with the other country. That, under the TPP, would be no more. The ISDS eliminates the middleman and lets corporations go directly after other countries' domestic laws. Okay? So these cases would be heard by special ISDS tribunals. And who presides over these tribunals? A panel of 3 private sector attorneys that rotate as judges. And what do you think keeps them busy when they're not acting as judges? Representing corporations and other ISDS tribunals. Conflict of interest, do you think? Not in the world of TPP. Quick example of this, so that we can really understand this, example of ISDS in action from NAFTA. Okay? In 1997, a corporation called Mediclab, a waste management corporation, wanted to expand a toxic waste facility, threatening the water supply in a town in Mexico. And this was the only water supply in this town. The local government of this town had previously denied the Mexican owners who Mediclab bought the company from a permit to expand. But under the new ISDS rules, Mediclab could sue. The corporation argued that they had already made a substantial investment in the project and needed to be compensated for being denied the permit. They won the ISDS tribunal, and the Mexican government had to pay them $16.3 million for daring to try to keep their citizens' water safe. So imagine what the folks in Flint would have to say about that. Now imagine it coming the other way. A foreign food exporter decides U.S. safety inspections are harming their business, right? Next thing you know, Uncle Sam is in court for inspecting the chicken we eat, and the judge's day job is working as a lawyer for the Vietnamese version of Colonel Sanders. That's business as usual under the ISDS. So, we get a flavor of some of what that is all about. But brothers and sisters, we have always been a trading nation, and in the 21st century, as other developed nations advance, it's more important than ever that America be an active player in this global economy. But as the rules are drafted, we can't allow corporations and their political friends to forget that this economy must serve the people, not the other way around. And the TPP is great for multinational corporations, but it is a disaster for working people. In a very real sense, our democracy has always rested on the strong backs of working Americans. That's why it's the duty of our elected officials to see that our interests are protected at home and abroad. In this election year, we need to hold politicians accountable for policies like the TPP and others that are designed to maximize corporate profits and power while pitting working people in competition with one another to have lower wages and eliminate job security. And I want to take a moment to let you know about what Russ Feingold did the other day. He made a challenge to Senator Ron Johnson. He was at the Machinist Conference, and I know many of you brothers and sisters were at that Machinist Conference the other day, or you did hear about it. But Russ Feingold was there, and he made an announcement. He made a challenge to Ron Johnson to say to him, Ron Johnson, get off the fence. We want to know where you stand on TPP. And he made that challenge, and we are backing him up. We sent out an email, I'm sure you got it a couple of days ago, saying please sign this petition that says to Ron Johnson, get off the fence. Stop being cagey with your vote and tell us, do you support TPP or do you not? Because this guy has supported every trade agreement he's ever come across with this Ron Johnson. And now that the political winds are shifting and the TPP is getting, really muddy because people are waking up, okay? He's saying, oh, I don't know if I support it or not, I don't know. Because what does he want to do? He wants to keep us in the dark, wait until after the election is over, wait until there's a lame duck session, and vote for it. But we deserve to know where he stands now. And so we're going to demand, alongside with Ron Johnson, along with Russ Feingold, where do you stand on the TPP? Brothers and sisters, our union movement is the strongest tool we have to make sure the deck isn't stacked against us at home and in the global economy. That's why these corporate sweetheart deals like the TPP are specifically designed to take away our power. So let's make sure in the days and weeks ahead, our elected officials remember who they work for by making our voices heard loud and clear. We need to tell them to take a stand on the TPP and vote no on this bad trade agreement. In this election year, we have many challenges and opportunities before us. And brothers and sisters, I think we have more than we even know right now. We know that the political winds are whirling fast, and we know that change is on the way. And we need to be ready for that change. So on April 5th, we need to make sure that we elect Joanne Kloppenberg to make sure that we have a state Supreme Court that is fair and has integrity. And we need to make sure that in November, let's make sure that we get rid of this idea that our state Senate and state Assembly can just be hijacked by these people that want to take away worker rights. And we need to make sure that we are in place to put back more of our people that are friendly to labor, that support working people into the state Senate and state Assembly. So I know you're going to be working hard to make sure that we make gains in both the Senate and Assembly this November. And you also know, going back to the spring elections, you know that there are a lot of folks out there that are working in local elections. You can go on our website to find out who labor has supported throughout the state. I know that there's a couple of sisters here, and maybe some brothers too, that are running for local offices. My sister running for Chippewa and Eau Claire. You guys, make sure that you guys talk to them later on and help them out every day. And when we get done with April, and when we get done with November, we're going to be looking towards 2018. We're going to be looking towards 2018, that wonderful sunny day when the clouds will last lift from the Capitol. Can I get an amen on this? On making the governor's office scot-free at last? So we've been fighting this good fight together in our state for sometimes what feels like a very, very long time. We've won some important battles and we've lost some too. But brothers and sisters, we know in our hearts that victory lies in the fact that we're still here fighting together. Day in and day out, yesterday, today, tomorrow, fighting together. We're still here because, as you know better than most, our communities, our state, our country needs us. And we dare not let them down. And just like on that first warm day like we've had last week across our state, there is something in the air. Every long winter holds the promise of spring. And I believe Wisconsin is in for a change. A change for the better. A change that will make us take back our state to a state that we can be proud of. Where neighbors look after one another, not attacked. That change is coming, and I can't wait to be out there with you. Brothers and sisters, solidarity.